you very much, Amina Najim. Up next is a newspaper review on Good Morning Nigeria.
All right, joining us to look at stories trending on the dailies this morning is Omini Oden. Omini, it's good to see you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to be here. Good morning, Nigeria. Quite a while.
Brother, you want to start off?
All right, Omini, let's begin with the leadership. And on the leadership, just below the nameplate, you have there, United Nations Development develops $4 billion partnership with framework with Nigeria. United Nations developed $4 billion partnership framework with Nigeria. And the lead story on the leadership this morning, it says private firms to invest 720 billion naira in Kaduna, Port Harcourt, Warri refinery, says Kachuku. That story is on page 6, and that's the leading story on the leadership this morning. Private firms to invest 720 billion naira in Kaduna, Port Harcourt, Warri refineries. And beside the picture story there, Maina sack in order, says presidency. Maina sack in order, presidency insists. The picture story there is that of President Muhammadu Buhari yesterday being briefed by the Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele at the 4th meeting of the Presidential Task Force on ECOWAS Monetary Program in Niamey, Niger Republic yesterday. All right, bless him.
Okay, come on to other papers. Is the story of Maina. It's the sack, and also well, I'll start off with the one I have here, which is an independent paper, independent newspaper, leading for independent this morning. Maina, Dambazel, Malami, Oyo Ita, privy to recall. The 4 riders to the story. Senate's reps to probe actors. Reps vow to fish out Maina's security escorts. Reinstatement embarrassment to federal government and party. This is coming from the APC. And EFCC seals 4 houses. 2 firms linked to Maina. But just above the nameplate there you have that is the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee allocation to federal government, states, local governments declining by 127 billion naira. Starts right there but continues on page 5. Now, moving further down the paper, we have beside the photograph, 15 gunmen kill 2 policemen, abduct expatriate in Kogi. There is a write-up, 21 dead, scores injured in Oshun. 2 crashes. More details on page 5 of the paper. Okay. Now, at the foot of the page is a story, alleged 400 million naira fraud. Court orders Jonathan Dasuki to honor summons. More details on page 5. Before we go to other papers, or meaning, we should come in here.
I think I'll start by giving kudos to the media, the beauty of follow-ups in any report that is trending, that is scandalous, because if you do follow-ups, you sustain information flow to the members of the public, and people would have thought of cutting corners. I say this because there's a new gate in the country, the Maina Gate. Some of the papers have titled it that way. Unfolding stories are coming up, and we hope and believe that we'll get such as the days unfold. So far, by today, the papers have it that his lawyer has claimed that I don't know the whereabouts of my client. Fire AGF orders, activists suggest. National Assembly has called for probe into the matter. Head of Service queries 2 PEMSEX, the Permanent Secretary, Federal Civil Service Commission, and the Minister of Interior. EFCC seals more properties belonging to Maina, and the All Progressives Party, the ruling party, demands action against culprits. On the flip side, major opposition, PDP, has said that what is happening calls for a lot of concern and something very serious should be done about it. So we expect more revelations, and as this happens, a lot of things will come to play. Quickly too, at Niamey, Nigeria's president has called on the West African sub-region to treat with caution the move for a single currency by the year 2020. And he tied it on 3 parameters: that there are diverse and uncertain microeconomic fundamentals of many countries, unrealistic inflation targeting based on flexible exchange rate regime, and inconsistency with the African Monetary Cooperation Program. Moreover, the lessons learned from developments in the EU. That beautiful idea, but a lot of caution. It should not be, there should not be a rush into it. Maybe if proper basements are corrected, that could be taken care of. But it's not a bad idea.
Sure. Okay. To other papers now. Let's start off with the Punch newspaper. The Punch, for on the front page of the Punch, you have just above the nameplate, we have 257 stranded Nigerians return from Libya. More details of that on page 9. And you have other stories. On page 3, you have Metu. Again, court orders Jonathan to appear today. And also we have vote in 2019, says INEC chair. More details about that on page 10. And on page 47, but just above the nameplate, there is the story. How I broke 28-year Obafemi Awolowo University record. This is coming from the graduating medical students with 12 distinction. Now, beside the nameplate, you have states rule out borrowing to fund revenue gaps. More details on page 25. Leading for the Punch is the story we had already talked about. That is the issue of Mena. 2 billion naira fraud, surrender to EFCC. Then Bazel tells Mena and other riders, I don't know where my client's Mena is. So that is coming from the lawyer. And also fire AGF, others. That is what Mena had already talked about. Yeah. Okay.
All right, let's talk about some of the talking heads there.
I think let's talk to the story talking about Nigerian stranded in Libya. I think the Refugee Commission in the country, NAPTIP, has sustained one message to Nigerians. I believe this will be a sounding warning to parents who are planning to. But the other one is that as the trial of Metu, former public secretary of PDP, resumes today, Justice Okunaban, one of the federal high courts in Abuja, has insisted that former President Goodluck Jonathan and former National Security Advisor Colonel Dasuki must appear. It's a subpoena kind of. So the papers have made an analysis. If they don't appear, if they appear, what may happen. And somewhere the governor of Sokoto State, while receiving a Senate committee to his state, has insisted that there was need for the federal government to think seriously about handing over federal routes to states, that the states will have a better plan to maintain the routes, and the routes will be closer to the people. So the states, if handed over federal routes, will maintain the routes better than what it is now.
All right, Tomini, let's quickly take a look at the blueprint, just a couple of headlines there on the blueprint this morning. All right, on the blueprint, just below the nameplates, it's Maina Gates, sanction indicted persons, APC tells Buhari. Sanction indicted persons, APC tells Buhari. That's the leading story on the blueprint this morning. And of course there are a couple of other headlines there, but of course Uminio, you'd agree with me that the leading story for a lot of papers this morning is the main nugget, and of course we're hoping to see how that would eventually pan out.
Okay. Well, a sad one just a few minutes ago from the Guardian newspaper talked about another electrocution in Calabar, Cross River State, coming 8 months after the one that made the rounds. 100 level student killed and a nursing mother died.
Really?
Indeed, really sad.
Okay, Albino, then that'll be it for the review this morning.
Thank you so
Hope
much.
to see you again tomorrow.
Thank you.
You're watching Good Morning Nigeria. Time now to take some couple of messages. When we return, it will be time to kickstart our discussion, taking a look at the fallout of the president's visit to Turkey recently.